Okay, now we're live. Oh crap. Everybody. All right. All zero of you watching this right now, everybody, I want to say I apologize. I apologize from the heart of my bottom. I apologize. I am ill prepared. All right. I have not prepared a formal intro because, well, I'm a little bit at my full capacity, maybe. I guess I know I'm just making excuses. I started a new job. Actually, I'm in week 4, so technically it's not like I started this past week, but it's a completely new job for me. Takes up a whole bunch of my time. Get a lot of overtime. That's good. So I didn't do all the thumbnails and all the posts promoting this show. I'm slacking. And I apologize. I apologize to Nick, consummate professional as he is. I apologize to you, great sir, for my half-assed my half-assed gearing up for the show. Today, I was going to have a whole proper intro done like I've done with the creators table. But a week ago, I got pulled over because my registration is expired. I live in the great state of Texas. My registration is expired. It expired in January of 2025. Yeah. So the reason it's expired is I know it won't pass inspection because my check engine light's on. Guess what? I have a Jeep. That's right. I have a Jeep. The only thing guaranteed to work on a Jeep is the check engine light. Well, you see this Jeep, it's a 2007 with 170,000 miles on it. The catalytic converters are bad. I can't afford it. I was a blue collar forklift driver, and brand new OEM cats for a Jeep are $1,500. I couldn't afford it, so I put it off. Well, now it bit me in the ass. I got pulled over. I had a citation. Now I have to put new cats on my Jeep. I like to do everything myself. Okay, that's just how I am. I wrestled all day getting those old cats off the Jeep. When I bought that Jeep, I was told Jeep stood for just empty every pocket. All right, so enough of my woes and my lack of professionalism. I do apologize to you, kind and gentle reader, watcher. But let's kick this into gear and let's welcome to the stage Nick Patch. Hey, what's up there, Nick? How you doing, brother? I don't hear you.
How about
there
now?
You go. Yes.
Well.
Hey, wait a minute.
Now
Hold
the
on.
energy's gone.
Say something. Am I getting punked? Because are you Robert Downey Jr.? You look like Robert Downey Jr. to me.
I know. That's what I hear. No,
Do you hear that?
I've heard when I was younger, I used to get Zac Efron, but now he's too fit. And I'm not fit enough to look like Zac Efron. So
wow, man, I've been told I look like a Saint Bernard. Wow, that's
nice.
A good problem to have, man.
That's a good breed. So
I wish I was.
Yeah. So I have a Jeep as well. And yeah, the check engine light has been on since I got it years ago, 10 years ago.
Is it like a weekend rider or something like that, or?
No, it's kind of my main transportation because I don't. Everything is really close by.
Okay.
Like my job is pretty close to my house, and the store's not far away. Nothing's far away. The only thing that's far away is a comic shop.
Oh, of course.
So yeah, but I used to drive, it's a 95 Wrangler, and I used to drive it on the highway to work for like 45 minutes every day. And it was fine. On the way to work, I was nervous. I'm going to go slow, take my time. On the way home, I'll go 95. I'm trying to get home.
Right.
And it was just wobble. But yeah, it's the check engine light has been on since I got it 10 years ago. And nothing's wrong with it. So
one of those.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the check engine light just is on. So,
Well, that sucks, man. That's cool. You got a Jeep. Yeah, mine's a 2007 JK.
oh, nice.
It's my first Jeep, and I know we're not. I know this isn't the Jeep owners table, but
Oh, yeah.
screw it, man. I love Jeeps.
Yeah.
But this has been the biggest pain in the ass. I had death wobble shortly after I got mine.
Yeah.
Have you had to deal with that?
I don't think I ever actually had it, but taking it past a certain speed felt like death wobble. But it's actually fine. But yeah, do you get people waving at you when they're in a Jeep? Yeah. That was weird when I first started driving it. I was like, why did that guy wave at me?
Oh.
Yeah. Pretty sure I don't know that guy. So,
it's the Robert Downey Jr. effect, man. What can you say?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
He's a handsome son of a bitch.
Hey, look, there's a Robert Downey Jr.'s driving a Jeep like me. Oh, hey, Robert. Yeah.
That's it. I'm in the club.
Yeah. Have you seen people driving around with a bunch of ducks in their Jeeps?
I've gotten ducked.
You've gotten ducked?
Yeah, I've had people leave ducks on my Jeep. Yeah.
Oh, really? That's weird.
You haven't?
No, I haven't. No, but I see other like Wranglers. Mostly they're newer, but I've seen just the whole front of the dash.
Yep,
is just all ducks, and it's normally some lady driving it most of the time. I've never seen a dude driving it with a whole dashboard of ducks. You have a bunch of ducks?
I used to. I did.
Okay.
I was proud of it because I got so much hate about my Jeep because one of the first like custom things I did to my Jeep is I ripped the front end off. That iconic like 7-slot grill. I ripped that off and I put this like it almost looks like a cattle catcher for a train.
Cool.
It makes it look to me. It looks like something out of freaking Mad Max.
Yeah, like an apocalyptic. Like yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, It's not like a grumper, where it makes the eyes look angry. It's not one of those. It's a full-on like I will death spear your vehicle if you run into me, and I got so much hate from all these diehard. I was like, hey, get my Jeep. I'm so cool. And I got on Facebook and I joined all these little Jeep clubs, and they're like, your Jeep sucks. So
mean people, man.
Oh
they're on your side. I thought we were on the same team.
Right? Yeah. So apparently it was some major faux pas to ditch the iconic, 7-slot grill. But I don't care. I've actually got it hanging up in my garage. But I started getting ducks. After I put that on, and I'm like, oh well, I'm proud of what I did. And then I put a big light bar on it, and I put these old school like Baja style KC lights with the yellow covers on and shit. And I ripped the fenders off. I ripped the carpet out because I'm gonna eventually put Rhino liner on the inside.
Oh, cool.
It's very much a minimalist Jeep because I like getting in the slop. I like going to the off-road parks and getting in the mud bowl.
Yeah, well, that's what they're for. That's what if you got a Jeep, you're not just playing nice.
That's it. Nick, I gotta say, first, I know I just cut you off, so I apologize.
Oh, you're good.
I'm going to tell you right now, my biggest problem is I am my own favorite subject. So I do my best to keep the focus off me, but I am going to focus on one thing. It is nice to meet you, and it is nice to like interact with you. I've seen you post a gazillion times on X. I follow you on X and stuff like that. We've not really, connected, I guess is I'm old. I don't know what the right word to say is.
Communicated.
It is a real pleasure. Oh yeah, I guess I'm overthinking it. It's a pleasure to have you on here, is what I'm saying, and to talk. And the fact that you're talking Jeep stuff just has endeared me all the more. So
yeah, same here. Yeah, it's great to meet you. I've seen you, and I know that you did Crenshaw. He's a really good friend of mine.
Oh, is that right? Oh, he's such a cool dude.
Yeah, he's great. I did one with him way before my first campaign, and then I did another kind of leading up, and he just would kind of bring me on for to kind of guest host sometimes. And then we were like, let's do a stream where instead of promoting a comic book, we just like review a movie. And we reviewed Yeah, we did Black Christmas, which I love. That
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
It's a fantastic movie. It's maybe the best slasher film of all time.
Well, it started it,
Um,
right?
yeah, I mean, you could say maybe people took some inspiration from it or whatever, but Black Christmas wasn't big. Like Halloween was the slasher that
Sure.
kind of set the format, but Black Christmas is great. And then we did another one called Phantasm.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
A
Boy.
lot of people liked it and were mad that I didn't like it very much.
I think that's probably a nostalgia thing because, at the heart of it, it's really not that great.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I remember when I was a kid and saw it on Channel 20 at Halloween, the local TV host, Count Gore Vidal, was doing a creature feature. And that's when I saw it for the first time. Scared the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, it's a weird movie, and there are some. I could, if I was younger, the first time I ever saw it, because that was the first time I'd watched it, was when I was reviewing it with Crenshaw. I definitely would have been freaked out a lot at some of the parts.
Yeah,
but mostly I was just mad the whole time because I was like, "This doesn't make any sense. What is happening? Why is this character acting this way?"
It gets worse and worse as the sequels come.
Oh, does it? Yeah, I didn't see any of the sequels.
Eventually, it gets to where it's not supernatural; it's aliens, and
I think that was the first movie. The first movie, so it came across as it was supernatural, but then at the end, it was this revelation that they were in a different they were taking people, shrinking them down into dwarves, and then putting them into a different reality, a different dimension. It seemed like maybe it was a different planet.
I thought it was Mars.
Oh, that could be the case. I can't. Maybe they hadn't decided that yet. Just like every scene, they hadn't decided what was happening in the next scene yet. But yeah, I could see why. Like, there are bad movies I like the one that I always do. And if anyone's listened to any podcast I've been on, I'll always bring up Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman. I love that movie, but I am well aware it's really quite the crappy film, but I like it a lot.
I have to admit, I saw it twice in the theater.
Oh, in the theater twice. I think. Yeah, I didn't see it in theater, but I used to just play it all the time on DVD. So my dad really liked it, and then I would watch it a bunch with my brothers, and we were watching it all the time. So I liked it. I like that movie. Looking back,
it's fun.
It's fun. So that's like that's what Venom was for me. Was like, all three of them really was like a return to the bad but fun movie. Right. Like in recent years, bad is just bad and it's not fun.
Right.
And it sucks. But Venom was a nice return to just like bad, but at least it's enjoyable. Which everything, if there was a movie that was bad in like the 90s, early 2000s, if it was a bad movie, mostly it was probably still pretty enjoyable because they were trying to make it fun, and by making it fun, that maybe is what made it a bad movie, by ignoring the writing or whatever. Yeah. But at least it was fun. And that's Van Helsing to the T, is fun but bad. So yeah, anyway, a little diatribe about Venom and Van Helsing there. But yeah, so it's
so let's change tacks a little bit here, right?
Yeah,
I'm curious. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about, you're a writer. Yes,
big time.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Art. Are you an artist as well, or?
I do some, but I haven't done anything for. I haven't really done anything for anything I've really put out, but I do like light stuff. Like if the camera will even focus on it, like I can do a little bit.
Okay.
Nothing crazy. So it's nothing like what my artist does, Jarrett, who I pay, and this is what he does for a living, so he's way better at it. But for my own short films, I've done a lot of storyboards that don't have to look amazing. And I was trying to do a different comic book on my own, and I never really got past the phase of just sketching. So
Sure.
the layout, page layouts, I was good at. Framing, I was good at. What I always had trouble with was like the actual rendering. Like I kind of got form. I can get that. I always then have trouble with the rendering. And obviously, as writing, working a job, art, color, lettering, marketing, you're screwed. You can't do all that. So you need someone to help you out. And that's why I have my own artist, because not only do I think I'm not as good as them, but it would take me way longer than it takes them. So
Sure.
we'd be way behind schedule without those guys. Nothing would be possible without Jarrett Katz, great artist. And right now we have Gisi Piccolo, and she's a great colorist. And then I'm lettering myself. But
Nice.
yeah.
How are you doing the lettering? I'm assuming it's digital, yes?
Yeah, it's digital. So I'm doing it on, I just showed you my little iPad. And I use Procreate. So I just, I do some weird stuff sometimes, but
Okay, cool.
trying to make different characters have different kind of stuff. But I actually made the font, and this is a story I've told a few times leading up to the first campaign. I made my own font because I didn't want it to be just generic. So and making a font is way different, way more complicated than you'd ever think it is. It's really complicated.
I would imagine it is, frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that like was the toughest is called kerning, which is you have two letters next to each other. The computer needs to decide how close they are to each other, right? So if you have say it's a lowercase L, and so the square is this size, but the L is just a line here. And then you have a K here. Now there's this big empty space. Does that make sense in between the letters?
Yeah.
So you have to go through every letter pair, every possible letter combination, and decide how close they're going to be together. And that took me like 2 weeks of
Holy crap.
my after work hours. It was a lot.
That sounds like it requires a ton of patience.
Yeah. I mean, I can normally put on a podcast or a show I've seen before and just go at it, but it was a lot of work.
Crap.
But I wanted it to be familiar, but also different and then gritty. So what I did is I took Anime Ace and I took Comic Sans, and I put them both on like transparent layers, so you could see them both kind of light. And then I found a nice middle ground between them that I felt looked nice. And so it ended up being familiar, like Anime Ace or Comic Sans in between them. And then I used a different brush that was more gritty because it's the old Western Supernatural. I didn't want it to be too clean, but also not too distracting. So I try to find a nice middle ground. But yeah. Lettering is more work than you'd ever think it is.
Wow. And I can see why things like Blambot are so popular, where you can buy these, giant packages of letters for doing just that.
Yeah. And I'll use that for my automatopoeias. I'll get impact or, whatever for the sound effects.
Yeah.
Instead of making my own font for each of the sound effects, that's way too much. So I'll just use Blambot to get, there's like impact, armor piercing. There's a whole bunch of them that I have, but yeah. And those are nice because they're free. So.
Oh yeah. Even better. We need as much free stuff as we can when we're doing this grind, for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about the writing, man. So, what types of writing have you done? Has it always been comics? What have you dabbled in?
I've done a lot of film, and then comics. So yeah, that's
Do
it.
tell, man. Don't just end it there, dude. You're talking to a movie guy. You know,
Okay.
that's because I was the same. Like all the writing I did, it was all scripts for films. Because of course I knew I was going to be the next Kevin Smith. I'm old. So I was in my 20s in the 90s. So I knew,
Well, I
you
did the
know,
same thing with Kevin Smith
hey.
and Tarantino, though. I was trying
Oh
to
yes,
be
I
in
love Quentin
between.
Tarantino. What's quick
Yeah.
before you go on? What's your favorite Tarantino film?
Oh, that's a really tough one. I really like Django Unchained a lot, but
Uh-huh.
I I might say that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is his best movie. I love that movie a lot. Like a lot. I don't know what it is, but I rewatched it
Hmm.
for almost a year. Just I would go to work, I was working late and I would come home and I would just watch that movie while I was going to bed, and then I would the next day I would go, oh, this is the last part I remember watching. And then I would start there, and I was just for a year just rewatching. So
That's
you
awesome.
like that one too, or
No, I mean I do. Yes, I
yeah,
do like it.
it's not
My
your favorite.
personal favorite is I have two that are my absolute favorite, and I get a lot of flack for my number one favorite. My number one favorite of his is Death Proof.
I really thought you were gonna say that because that makes the most sense. As and then Jackie Brown, is that your second
I
one? That's your favorite?
loathe Jackie Brown. I
Okay, I'm
absolutely
not a big fan.
despise that film.
Yeah,
But my number two is Inglorious Bastards.
yeah. Oh, and I like that. And it's hard to pick your favorite because Pulp Fiction is so
Oh my
good, and
god!
Reservoir Dogs is so good. Like it just it's hard to even pick. There's different eras, and then obviously Kill Bill is that's a thing of its own, and it's incredible, and I love it. Yeah, it's all very he hits almost every single time,
Yeah.
and it's just great stuff. But anyway, yeah. So as far as my film stuff is, I've I did a bunch of. I guess I could tell the story of my like film career. Is I was in high school or right out of high school, and I was gonna be the next Kevin Smith, right? And so I wrote a feature script and got a bunch of actors together that weren't really actors, and we were gonna shoot it. And my cinematographer at the time brought it to my attention that the script wasn't actually very good, which is probably true because I only wrote it. That's it. Like I just wrote it. Now we're gonna shoot it. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, that's you got to
No
start
rewriting.
somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like no editing or no rewriting. I didn't write a. There were no drafts. There was no outline. There was none of this. It was just, I'm just gonna. There was no like, who are the characters and what are their personalities? There was nothing, and it was just, just schlock. But so then I was okay. Let's stop. Then we'll put a hold on it and we'll rewrite it. And rewrote it. We were ready to go. Everyone on the project had just lost interest in it, and so it
Oh
was kind of
man.
hard to get it going after that. Yeah. Um, but one of the guys who's going to be an actor in that, I was at the movie theater in line, and he was in line there at the movie theater too. And I was like, "Oh, hey man, how's it going? Sorry that movie didn't work out." He's like, "Yeah, I'm in town for a little bit. I'm actually in school for acting." I was like, "What? You're in school for acting? How long are you out here? We'll do something. We'll do a short film or something." And so he's like, "I'm out here for 2 weeks." And so I literally wrote something in like a night. And then we shot it, and on the guy who was going to bring his camera, his grandma had a flood at her house, and so he
Oh,
couldn't show up, and so I just filmed it on my iPhone. um and it had its problems, but it's kind of charming, especially looking back at it. It was kind of a comedy, kind of serious, like mainly drama conversation between two roommates where one of them's like doing everything he's doing to be successful and impress his dad, and the other one is just mooching off of him, not paying rent and smoking weed and playing video games all day. And so they obviously butt heads because they're like opposites, and they basically learn a lesson from each other by the end of this 5-minute argument that they have.
Right.
And so he's still my filmmaking partner. So he produces and acts in the stuff that we make right now. And we ended up doing another film that was about a serial killer that is about 22 minutes, something like that. And that was a crazy experience. The serial killer killed his mom first, which is like just a general thing with serial killers, right? And the actor really was having fights with his mom constantly. Yeah. And I remember one time we went out because he had to take a break to fight on the phone with his mom. Yeah. It was a wild experience. Nothing, he didn't kill his mom or something, but like
Well, that's good.
yeah. Anticlimactic story about him fighting with his mom. But yeah, so we did that film, and I did music videos for a short while, and that film ended up coming out. We did a whole like premiere at my local theater, and it was a great time. Before that, we did a couple films. Well, we did one film to kind of test out my new crew, and it was again like written the night before. It wasn't a great film. And then halfway through production on the other one, we hadn't gotten the main girl yet for the short film. And Halloween was coming up, so we thought, let's do a short film with her. And again, it was like wrote it the night before, did a Halloween horror thing with her, who we were thinking about casting, and she did a great job, and we ended up casting her. And then so we finished the serial killer movie and made it into some local festivals and stuff like that. It was really looking back at the movie, it's not as bad as I would think, if that makes sense. Like, so sometimes I think, man, that was probably awful. But then kind of looking back, taking a step back, I'm not as close to it. It's actually not that awful. Yeah, there's some flaws we could have fixed up a little bit, but it's pretty good. Like, some of the effects were really cool. Like, he would kill people with a hammer, and he hit this girl in the face with a hammer. And all we did is we had her here and we had him back here, but we have the lens at a certain setting, which makes things look closer together, right?
Okay.
And so he's back here and hits with a hammer, right? And she goes flying. But because of the lens, it looks like they're right next to each other. And it looked brutal on screen. It still does. I'm like, oh man, that's nice. I can't believe we achieved that. But yeah, so, and blood effects, and not a lot of gore, but blood, and then stuff like that. And it was just kind of cool. I'm impressed with my younger self. But then I did another short film someone else wrote, but obviously as the director, there's a lot of say in changing the script and stuff like that.
Sure.
And that one was really cool. We actually reviewed it on my closeout stream with Crenshaw and Chris from, Bent Box Comics.
Sounds familiar.
Monstrel, I think, is the one that they're doing right now.
Okay.
Trying to think of the other ones that they've done, like Forgotten Realms and why can't I think? Our Monsters. Anyway, so he's a great guy. He does stuff with other creators. So they're all under the Bent Box crowdfunding umbrella, but
Gotcha.
And publishing, but they're all different creators and stuff. But anyway, so we all reviewed this short film called Prey, which is a murder mystery. And that film is actually when I watched that one, it has a couple flaws, but I'm like, this is actually really pretty good. Like I like watching this,
Nice.
instead of, looking at all the little,
Yeah,
oh,
picking it
this
apart.
and
Yeah.
yeah. That one I can just kind of enjoy. And that one had, guns and all these kinds of things that we had to get a gun wrangler and
Right.
it's so much BS you have to deal with getting something made. But that one again kind of made it into festivals and stuff, and the score on that is amazing. And then we did one more short film that was the shortest one we did. So like the serial killer one and then the murder mystery one are both like 20 minutes, a little more. And then this other one is like 5 minutes. And it's called Resurgence, and it's about this cop pulls over this guy. Well, actually, wait, that's not what happens. This guy hit a deer and he's running down the road, and there's cockroaches on the deer that we actually had to get from Madagascar, and I had to keep in my house. And
Cool.
yeah. And so the cop pulls up and kind of flags the guy down, and he's going to give him a ride. Things seem kind of weird, but he's just going to give him a ride home. And then the guy's in the back seat, and he starts freaking out like there's something inside me, saying weird stuff like this. And the cop's like, "Are you on drugs? Like, what have you been taking?" And it takes place in the 70s. So we had to get these old cop cars and this old, I can't remember what kind of car it was, but it was like an old car that looked new. Like we had to do all kinds of crazy stuff for this film because it was a period piece. And the cop ends up, the guy, like his stomach comes open and the bugs come out.
Nice.
And the cop gets one on his shoulder. And he pulls over and he goes running down the road, and the guy dies and seizes out and everything. That's the end of the movie. But it's like the idea is, so now the cop is the guy running down the road, and he's going to have the bugs next. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Of course.
So So that was that film. And that one was different. It was actually like paced. So Walt Disney did, the first Mickey Mouse cartoon was like one of the first sound cartoons ever. Mm-hmm. And he actually was pacing the animation to the music. And he did this with a lot of other stuff. And Tarantino, it seems like he does this. A lot of people do this. And I thought I was just brilliant. No one ever done this before, but that's what we did with that film. And people say that's the one that feels the most like a movie. Even though it's so short, they're like, that felt like the beginning of a movie. I thought there was going to be a whole movie after that. And so we've just been trying to get together to do a feature film, but the writing always takes a long time. And now doing the comic book, got less time for that, but I have a writing partner and we have steady sessions. So at some point there will be a feature film about a guy who's agoraphobic and his house is haunted. And anyway, so that one will be a full feature film eventually.
Okay.
That's my whole
you're the real fucking deal.
Man, no, I don't think so.
You're the real deal. I'm over here cosplaying. You're the real deal. Holy crap.
I mean,
that is so freaking cool.
You can do it, Chris. You're making comics. You're the real deal too, man.
Man, well, I'll tell you, one thing I don't want to say I pride myself on, but one thing I strive for is transparency. And, I said I was convinced I was going to be the next Kevin Smith, right? I was writing comedy was always my go-to. I wrote a trilogy. Kevin Smith has his Jersey trilogy. I had my trilogy, which was, of course, was all based on my friends and my group of friends. And, then I started writing horror. I moved to Texas and became friends with this guy, Kit Lively. He's actually a cartoonist for Mad Magazine and Cracked and Hustler and all this stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Successful guy. We became friends. We met at a comic book convention when we were promoting my first comic book back in the early 2000s. And he came up with a treatment for a script called Suicide Bride. And he wanted me to write it with him. So we wrote this screenplay, and it is a banger. And I never had the guts to do anything. I grew up in Maryland, just outside of DC. And when I say like I was convinced I was going to be this famous filmmaker, like I had made these plans I was going to go to New York. There was a film school there I was going to go to. And like I had found this little, like, I can't even remember, like a K3 or Kraganoski or whatever, 3, like camera where it's like you hand wind it or whatever like that. And it's actual film. And I was going to get that. And I was going to go to film school. And at the end of the day, I let fear stop me from doing these things. And, I kept saying, I kept telling my friends, yep, this is going to be it. This is the year I'm going. I'm going to go to New York, blah, blah, blah. And I just never had the guts to do it. And I let, fear of failure. I let fear of the unknown stop me from doing these things and from taking any steps further. But now, like I said, I had my first comic book out. We printed under our imprint then was Half-Ass Publishing, and it was all satire. Yeah, people love that name, man. Our book was called Some Big Lumberjack. It was basically a Tick ripoff. We were huge fans of the Tick, and it was making fun of superheroes. It was just pop culture references. We did well with what it was for a long time, but then I stopped. And I just thought, like, I lost all confidence, which was weird because we were so successful. I lost all confidence, and I let fear again, creep into my life and keep me from doing these things until, last year when I finally was like, shit, I'm old. I'm 51 years old, and I got to stop letting fear keep me from doing these things. And, here came Bootlegger Comics. But
yeah,
you're right. It's never too late. It's never too late. You don't know, how much thread is left in your destiny, in your line. A little homage there to the Greek fates. But
I'm trying to think of who it was. So, sorry, the Grey Goose, the vodka.
Yeah,
the lady who made that was like in her 70s when she made it.
No kidding.
And she was like nothing when she started it.
Yeah.
And now it's, one of the biggest vodka brands, high end vodka
premier
brands.
Vodka.
Yeah, exactly. It really is never too late. So,
I'm super impressed with what you just said, and you've actually done it, man. That's absolutely incredible. That's
The one thing I haven't done is like had like a real audience. I've had captive audiences of people who went to a short film festival and are just there for the ride of whatever happens to be on the ticket. But like, and this is what Roy Beckwith is, the whole comic books is. I've been doing this for about 10 years. Never had any revenue, since no revenue never turned a profit. And so therefore, like, that's, and I mean, money's not the only marker of success, but it certainly is one of them. Yeah, because if people are willing to pay money to see your stuff or to read your comic book or whatever, then that means that you did a good job. Especially if they'll come back for the second one. The first one, they might just be, maybe you made a good trailer, but if they come back for the second one, then, you did a good job. Right. So that's why I started doing comics. It's something that isn't going to cost millions of dollars to make a feature film. But it's something that I can do to get out there and start getting like people actually experiencing the stories that I'm telling. And I can experiment with story structure, and I can do all that. And film is like, it's restrictive. Like, it's hard to, like, Roy Beckwith in The Cursed Continent is like Pirates of the Caribbean mixed with Western, and this is just like that's not like what I was going for. That's just kind of what it is, budget wise. So it'd be like $300 million a movie, or now more with inflation. So it's hard. I can't make that in film. So do it in comics. You know what I mean? And yeah. So I appreciate the compliment. I don't know how to take compliments. So
dude,
I appreciate it.
You're blowing me away here, because, again, we've never really interacted with each other. We've never really communicated with each other. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I'm not that kind of guy. I have felt the same way about comics. Now, I was a comic book guy. I collected comic books when I was a kid. I was never big on superhero comics. When I first started collecting comics, I was getting G.I. Joe and the Nam. The Nam was a fairly popular series by Marvel back in the 80s, in the mid 80s. There was a huge, Vietnam was very popular, the Vietnam War, as far as a
subject
story
matter.
Yeah. In the 80s, of course, you had Rambo, you had all that stuff. You had tons of movies. The Boys and Company.
Predator too, right?
Movie. Predator. They were Vietnam veterans. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then you had TV shows like Tour of Duty was one of my favorite shows. That was a great show. So I was interested in that. My uncle, who was my father figure growing up, he was a Marine Corps Vietnam vet. So I heard it all from him. So the Nam and G.I. Joe is what got me into comics when I was about 12. Then in my 20s, I started getting some Spider-Man. And the funny thing is I always loved Spider-Man as a kid. Like, I've got pictures of my mom took me out to, like, it was Toys R Us or something, and some guy was dressed up as Spider-Man there for some big event. And I always loved Spider-Man, but I never collected the comic books till I was in my 20s.
You just kind of fell in love with the iconography of
Spider-Man. I guess. Yeah. And of course, there were cartoons and stuff, but it was in my 20s, and I always gravitated towards weird stuff. I liked military, and I liked really strange stories. Like, one of my favorite books is one titled Tales from the Bully Pulpit. And that came out in the early 2000s. It was published by Image, and it is bonkers. It is it's Teddy Roosevelt and the ghost of Thomas Edison, I think.
Yeah, that's bonkers.
Teaming up with H.G. Wells, I think, and they go travel through time, and they end up going into the future and battling Hitler, who has taken over Buenos Aires. And there's all this anthropomorphic animals. There's this one guy named Chairman Meow, and he's it's a cat.
Yeah, like Mao. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's one of my all-time favorites. So that kind of tells you where my mind's at. And but even being a comic book guy, my desire was film, and the stories that I wrote were made for film. And I know exactly what it was. It was a contest in Wizard magazine. They had a contest of create your own superhero contest, and I was talking with a buddy of mine. I was in the early 20s, and some big lumberjack was my nickname in high school. It kind of,
it's a long nickname.
It is, and it was whenever I would do something stupid. If I did something stupid, my friends would go, "Some big lumberjack, dang, dang, dang." So that's kind of where it came from. So I did a lot of stupid stuff, but I thought, oh, some big lumberjack. There's our superhero. Let's take, and we just kind of riffed from there. But I always thought as comics as the best way for me to get all of the cacophonous insanity that is rolling around in my head out and to people to consume. I just, obviously film, like you said, it's just financially it's prohibitive unless you've somehow managed to get your foot in there like you're doing, working your way up through it. I had no freaking clue, and so comics was that for me. So with you saying that, like, it just, I don't know, just kind of blew me away. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And like it's just an interesting tidbit that I think about sometimes is Stan Lee, he always wanted to be doing film, but he ended up the most well-known guy in comics ever.
yeah.
And until he died, I mean, or until I guess he kind of doubled down on just doing cons and cameos in the Marvel movies and that stuff. What he really wanted to do was write film, and he never did, like ever. Even the Marvel movies, I mean, he did a little consulting, but he didn't do any of the writing. And they are similar in the backstory and everything, but they're obviously their own things. But I think he was successful,
Oh yeah.
even if he didn't do what like he always wanted, like, which was, he felt like comics was small potatoes or whatever, and he wanted to be doing film. He was the most successful guy in comics and changed the medium like completely, multiple times. So it's just interesting, something I've been thinking about lately, because I was reading his book and his biography, and sometimes I'm like, maybe I should just do comics, but I guess I am still doing film a little bit. But if all I ever do is comics that people really like, then that's enough. You know what I mean? That's good enough for me.
Right on.
Storytelling is storytelling. I did a post recently. I'm medium agnostic.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, exactly. So comics, film, video games, whatever it is, man, story's a story, and stories affect people the same way, more or less. It doesn't matter what medium that you use to convey it. So
Where do your stories come from? Like, do you just have a moment when you're going about your daily, whatever, and lightning hits your brain, or is it a reaction to something you see or hear? How does that work for you?
Man, that's a really good question. That's a really good question. Because different ones, different,
Yeah.
different inspiration. As far as Roy Beckwith, it was a dream that I had, but the dream is now not part of it at all. But the character came from that, and then a lot of it is like sometimes like, oh, I want this one to be adventurous, or like, so I wrote Roy Beckwith actually as a modern day bounty hunter who was like actually modern day, and there wasn't any real magic. So I don't think this is never going to see the light of day. It's never going to be a movie. It's spoilers. Who cares? Plus, I mean, who cares if 100 or even like 100,000 people get this spoiler? Like, if this became a movie, there's plenty of people who still don't know. So it's he was getting a book for his employer called the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and the employer ended up trying to use it to like basically summon a zombie apocalypse.
Ooh.
But then and he's like, now after he gets it, he starts, starting to recite everything. Roy's trying to stop him with everything he's got. And he's about to shoot him, and he reads the last words from the book. And then nothing happens. and then Roy shoots him, and nothing happened. So there was this kind of I don't know if you'd call it pessimistic, but like lack of magic, right? It was like people think they're magic, but it's just BS, right? Magic's gone from the modern world or whatever. So that was the first screenplay I wrote with him, and it was a full-length feature. But then at a certain point, I realized, no, he's supposed to be in the Old West, and it's supposed to actually be magic, right? That's what it needs to be. And so instead of take inspiration from other stuff, which I mean, probably subconsciously it happened because I love Tombstone and I love Unforgiven and Young Guns and Lonesome Dove and whatever. I used to watch all this stuff with my dad. But I read a lot of history and talked with my grandpa, who used to read. He doesn't read anymore. He's still around, but he used to read just so much of the like frontier and like Old West and just history biographies, stuff like that. And that's where I got most of the ideas from, and then just my own research. So, because I mean, it's okay to take inspiration, but I wanted to take more inspiration from real life than from other stuff that had been, made. That was fiction. I didn't want my fiction to feel like everyone else's fiction.
Yeah.
So I went to the source material, which is real life. And that's how Roy Beckwith developed into this big epic story of the Old West and South America and magic and monsters and everything. So
that's pretty badass. Let's look at the chat here. Ichthy5, I think I'm saying that right. What is up, Total Excellence? Yes, you are the execution of excellence, my friend. Your story has been absolutely fantastic. I've been dumbstruck here by your tale thus far. I'm so glad to have you on the show. Not to take anything away from anybody else I've had on before, but this is really great. Great conversation.
I'm glad I can be entertaining and maybe insightful.
Absolutely. Ichthy5 caught your tweet. That must have been yours, because it sure as heck wasn't mine. I've been wrestling with a Jeep all damn day.
Oh, yeah.
So I will say, for me, something triggers an idea for me. A lot of times I read a lot of history books. I have very few fiction books in my library. It's mostly history, mostly kind of strange history. I guess just kind of like how I like bizarre stories. I like bizarre history as well. The Nostradamus Effect, that was my most recent crowdfund. Well, that was my only crowdfund attempt. I actually got that idea when I was about 13. I had watched a documentary about Nostradamus called The Man Who Saw Tomorrow. It was hosted by Orson Welles. And the film opened with a dramatization of this legend about the skull of Nostradamus. So I think it's mostly considered apocryphal now, or urban legend, but supposedly before he died, he said, "Whoever drinks from my skull shall acquire my powers. However, whoever disturbs my grave shall die." And there was this dramatization that these three guys exhumed his body during the French Revolution. One of them poured wine into the skull, drank from it, and was instantly shot from a stray bullet nearby fighting during the French Revolution.
Yeah, during the Revolution.
And that just lightning struck my brain. Like lightning struck my entire body. I thought, why hasn't anybody tried to do this again? It just shows how gullible I was at that age. But it just stuck with me, and just morphed into what it came out to be.
That's cool.
I have a vampire story that I'm working on. It's called Sangre de Cristo, and it's a noir detective story. It takes place in Chicago, and I got this idea from I was watching a documentary with my friend Kit, the same gentleman I mentioned earlier, and it was a documentary about just like subcultures, and it was focusing on this subculture of I guess it was a subculture of goth people who say they are real vampires. vampires. Of course, they don't transform or have any of the magical abilities of vampires.
Is this a certain time period or is it modern? Because I knew people in high school who said they were vampires and were serious, and kids would bring garlic to school to make fun of them, and they'd freak out and hiss at them and like cause a big scene over it because they, I think, actually believed they were vampires.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so I was fascinated by this documentary because and it showed them like using syringes with their partner to take the blood and drink it and all this, that, and the other. And I said, I'm sitting there, I'm watching with my friend Kit, and this was early 2000s, and I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, if these people are saying they're vampires, if I kill one, do I go to jail? Like, am I a criminal for killing a vampire, or am I Van Helsing?
Yeah.
How does that work in real life? And then my buddy Kit, he goes, dude, that'd be a great slasher movie. And it was just like, lightning hit my brain. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, that would be. How cool. So I came up with this story where there's this serial killer who is butchering these people who are part of this subculture, like decapitating them, carving old Catholic iconography symbols into them. And this detective is trying to solve this case with a kind of M. Night Shyamalan, Shyamalanga Ding Dong
twist. Turns out they actually are vampires the whole time.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of what, how I get ideas. Like one thing is I got another story I'm working on. It's kind of like Yellowstone meets the Wolfman. And I'm big into cryptids and that kind of stuff. And I don't know if you're familiar with the story of the Kandahar giant. So
I know of Kandahar, but not this myth.
Yeah. So this supposedly happened around 92, and some Army Ranger group ended up missing during a routine patrol. They sent another a unit out to find them. They tracked them to this series of caves in of course, Kandahar, and they stumble upon this giant, and I'm talking like 15 feet tall giant.
Nephilim, yeah.
Yeah, and covered in red hair and all this stuff, and he's eating the members of this unit, and there's this massive firefight. They just unload on it takes like 30 minutes of gunplay to finally put this thing down. And a Black Hawk helicopter comes down, takes the body, and it's never seen again.
Area 51.
Right, yeah. And so this main protagonist who ends up becoming a werewolf is a veteran of that situation, that event. And I find weird things kind of spark my imagination, I guess.
I mean, I'll give you that. So in Roy Beckwith, I use some Apocrypha to kind of inspire some of the magical talismans in Roy Beckwith. So it's 64 issues, and the first half and the second half are both focused on a different mythical talisman. And the first half, which we haven't even introduced it yet, it won't be introduced for a little while, but it doesn't matter. Spoilers, who cares? It's not that big of a spoiler. But it's the Key of Solomon, Goetia.
What?
Yeah. So in Goetia, the Ring of Solomon that allows you to control demons. And so I thought, okay, let's say this thing's real. Let's say that it actually made its way to America, and that all of these people who were out here building civilization out here were able to do it so rapidly and conquer so many civilizations because they were using the ring. and it was passed on from user to user, and all of that stuff. But there's a twist with it that maybe I shouldn't give it away, but it's not exactly just you control demons and that's the end of the story, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. So I took inspiration from that, and I actually used that in the book. Some other times, like the second talisman is just something I made up, though it is based on the Ikma culture, which was absorbed by the Incas a few hundred years before Pizarro came in and, you know, killed all of them. Probably rightfully, but because he didn't kill he killed the leaders, and the people were like, "Oh, thank you, dude. They were killing our kids."
Yeah.
You know, they're killing our kids every third moon. What is this? So yeah. But so sometimes I just make stuff up based on something. Sometimes I just make it up. Sometimes it actually is a thing that I read about, you know, like in Goetia. So that's
fun.
interesting. I've noticed, dude, a lot of the indie creators are actually really into this kind of stuff, like the Nephilim and like occult literature and history. And, you know, it's not just me, as it turns out. You could pick Crenshaw's brain about this stuff. You could pick Godfoe's brain about this stuff. You know, there's a lot of guys in the indie comic space who just love this kind of thing. It's interesting to find out.
Well, I now I feel like I got to tell you about this structure I have for this Nostradamus universe. So I like to keep things grounded as much as possible without, you know, lots of supernatural, you know, what have you. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to have magic and supernatural and all that stuff become part of this universe. So what I did is, like, I like physics and that kind of stuff. So, you know, I think there's credence to the multiverse theory.
Yeah,
as much
I
as
have
there
a
can
whole
be
series
theory.
as well doing multiverse stuff. That'll maybe one day do. It's 256 issues, so who knows?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
what I've decided to do in order to work magic into this, you know, regular universe was I decided, well, there's another universe, a parallel universe or dimension, however you want to describe it. And, you know, in nature, everything has a frequency or vibrates to a specific frequency, you know. So these universes vibrate at similar frequencies, and occasionally they'll sync. And when you have this syncing of this, you know, vibration frequency, you have what a lot of people refer to as a thinning of the veil. And when these things happen, that's when you have like Bigfoot sightings and, you know, UFO sightings and ghosts and all this other stuff. That's where it comes from. So you've got one universe, our universe, which is, you know, based around Newtonian science. Then you have this other universe that was created around the supernatural to exist, right? And so that's how I've created this thing. And in this, as people in this world try to use magic, it creates more of these thinnings, right? And the more thinnings you have, it can create a rift, a tear between these two universes, right? And then this supernatural and Newtonian, you know, universes blend, and it ushers in, the last time a rift happened, it ushered in the Dark Age. So that's
fucking cool, dude. I like that. That's a really cool premise, and not just like, because you've seen this kind of thing before where different worlds are going to merge on accident. Right. There's going to be tears, but you just grounded it and explained it so well, how it's grounded in physics. And it's interesting to me. So you were talking about different multiverse. So there's the first three dimensions, obviously space, right? The up and down, left, right, forward and back, right? And then the fourth dimension is time.
Mhm.
And then the fifth dimension is different versions of the events in a universe that has the same laws of physics. And then the sixth dimension is actually different laws of every possible rendition of different laws of physics, right?
Right.
So that's what you're describing. You're describing us actually, these vibrational waves accidentally merging or causing a tear, thinning the veil, as you say,
Right.
with actually like a different universe in the sixth dimension, right? So you're like getting that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
I appreciate that. That's what eventually would come down the line with bootlegger comment, with the Nostradamus effect. All that would be revealed. But I bring this up because of what you said about the Ring of Solomon. So my protagonist is actually based on a real guy. His name is John Martin. He's my friend's dad, and he actually worked for the State Department. He helped spies defect from Russia to the United States. He prosecuted spies who were American citizens spying for the Russians. He prosecuted them. And very interesting guy. He was best friends with Tom Clancy. Tom Clancy thanks him in some of his books. I call him Batman. Cool. I always would tell him, your dad's Batman. And he goes, yeah, my dad is Batman.
Yeah,
and so I've based my protagonist on him, but he goes all in when he learns about what the universe is really all about, and this threat and magic is real. And so he gets involved with this group called the Order of St. George, and they fight. They, on the surface, they just look like a Catholic organization, fraternal organization, but they really have been protecting our world from magical incursions from this other universe. Anybody who's trying to use magic, they go and put them down because they know what it
that'll cause a tear. Yeah.
Yes, and
they're creating a vibration that will match or tune into that of a different universe, and then that can cause a tear and a thinning. Yeah.
So what this guy does, this John Martin CIA agent, what he ends up doing to protect himself, because they're going up against somebody who can see the future. You know, how do you defeat somebody like that? So they tell him, you have to get this tattoo, and it's the Seal of Solomon. It's the Seal of Solomon, and he gets it just massive tattooed, this massive seal all over his torso.
Yeah, and then everyone thinks that it's some Israel thing that you're doing.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
people have thought that.
It's the Jews are funding his company.
Well, you can. Well, wait, no, we're on Twitter. Yeah, you can say that. I've seen people say juice instead. They'll just put a juice box. I thought that was funny. They don't want to get canceled, but anyway.
I'm not going to get into that. I have no problem with our Jewish friends.
Agreed. So yeah, totally different thing. But yeah, the Seal of Solomon. Yeah,
it's the Seal of Solomon. So when you said that about the Ring of Solomon, that's what I was like, what?
Yeah,
like holy crap, you know. So it basically, blinds this villain, Lily Voss. It blinds her to his movement. She's unable to, see what he's doing or anything like that.
And what's going to happen with him in the future as well.
Right.
Yeah. So that's really interesting, actually. So the Seal of Solomon is it's two triangles, right? And triangles, as far as I think it's the lesser key. Anyway, that's where you trap the demon, right? In Goetia is inside a triangle. And so the Seal of Solomon is two triangles overlapping, which basically just tightens the border that they can travel within, right? Almost makes it a circle, right? It's a hexagon now. And I actually use that in my story structure, which is insane. But I actually believe that I'm trapping. This is gonna sound nuts, but I actually think I'm trapping demons within the story by using the Seal of Solomon in my story structure. Which I could dig into if you'd like, but I don't want to go too far off on a tangent.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, we have to ask ourselves first, what is a demon? And a demon, if you look into what the Bible says about a demon is, and the devil, is that they shoot like flaming arrows from a distance at the hearts of men that are lies and this kind of a thing. So then, well, we say, okay, so demons, and obviously people can be possessed by them. So demons just get inside your head and tell you lies. And so, well, what do they tell you lies about, and what are they targeting, right? Well, they're going to target the two most powerful drivers, which is fear, which is when you said that you've let your fear of failure like keep you from doing the things you want to do. And I've had that same exact problem. Like maybe I didn't used to as much, but I could have done a lot more than I've done. But fear of failure has taken me down too. But so it's not just fear though, it's hope. Hope is the opposite, right? And if you have a fear of failure, the opposite of a fear of failure is a hope for success, which are vague terms. But anyways, so so now you can propose questions. How do I avoid failure? And then you can get answers, but those answers might be coming from a demon, right? And if you look at certain books, certain movies, advice from certain people, those could be demons getting at you, and they could be telling you a lie about how to avoid failure. For example, you could avoid failure by not trying. They might tell you that, right? Mm-hmm. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's a lie. But they can attack your hope too. It's like, how do I succeed? And then it's like, well, maybe they'll tell you to backstab someone, right? Or whatever. So you have two of these, you have both of these things. You have fear and hope, and then these questions that come about because of what you're fearful of and what you have a hope for. And these are always dichotomies, right? Failure, success, loss, love. Like I could go on. There's a million of these, but they're dichotomies, right? And you can have different combinations where maybe one of these is correct for a character or for a person, but the other one is false. And so now you have a worldview that doesn't mesh up, right? So it's like, how do I avoid failure? Well, don't try. Well, how do I get success? Well, you have to try really hard, and then you're just left there stuck, and you're anxious and depressed and don't know what to do, right? I dropped my pen. It doesn't matter. I have another pencil. And so you can have different combinations, and if you want, so like I will actually do two of these dichotomies within one character. So it'll be, say, Roy Beckwith is love and loss, connection and loss, you could say. And the second one is betrayal and trust, right? You're afraid of being betrayed, but you hope to be able to trust someone, right? So that gives you four things. I know this is getting nuts. This is like some really detailed stuff. You have four questions that you've asked, which is, how do I avoid loss? How do I get love? How do I avoid betrayal, and how do I gain trust, right? And so if you want to have two wrong answers and two right answers, two wrong answers, then there's 6 combinations that you can have, which is I use as the 6 points of the triangles on the Seal of Solomon. And so if you have some right answers, some wrong answers, and every possible combination around the Seal of Solomon, then you basically trapped the demon that tells lies about those fears and hopes inside of it when you tell a story with those characters. And there's more nuance, but that's basically the idea. As far as the Seal of Solomon is trapping demons inside story structure or whatever, which is some insane stuff. Yeah.
That's pretty badass. Dude, don't apologize. This is exactly what the creators table is all about, man. I mean, this is the heart of it, man. This is
Yeah.
talking about, the heart of your creation and your philosophies. This is exactly what this show is supposed to be about. And I find it fascinating. I find it fascinating to learn how other people are inspired and how they create. And um, the kind of vibe I'm getting from you is you have very much a structure to when you write, possibly.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
utter chaos. I've actually just recently started just trying to outline stuff because there's so much I'm trying to get out,
Hmm.
and it's just it's kind of overwhelming at times. I mean, uh, I don't know. Like I've got probably I've got about I'm at about 15 stories right now that I'm working on, and
Oh yeah,
it's
that's
just
a lot.
insanity.
Yeah, stretching yourself in 15 different directions, man. That's a lot. Yeah. I've been trying to like really cut down because I used to do the same thing, right? It was, oh, I've got this slasher trilogy that I'm working on, and I've got Roy Beckwith, and I've got this superhero universe that I'm working on, and I've got this other kind of like Oscar bait film that I'm working on. I have all of them, and then I never finished any of them, or never finished them to the level of quality that I really wanted. And so I've stripped it down. I just am just Roy Beckwith, except one day a week for 4 hours. Me and my writing partner work on that agoraphobia film, which might actually be a good title for it. But yeah. So I don't know. Everyone does what they do, but and some people probably like can do that, but I found that I just can't because I will just get too distracted. My head's too full of too much stuff, and then I never finished anything. So that's just what I found for me.
I think part of why I'm trying to get so much out so quickly is not to be a downer, but I'm 51 years old. I've got two sons, 11 and 14, and a lovely wife. And both of my parents died in their early mid 60s. So I'm feeling that kind of time is slipping away. So I feel like I've got to get as much out as possible. I will say this that I have been utilizing AI as far as keeping notes
Mm-hmm.
and keeping everything straight. So
That's a
it's
good use
helped.
of it.
Yeah, it's helped me to have all of these stories kind of categorized and blocked off, so I can be like, okay, I feel like working on this Sylvian's story, which is this. I was reading a science article, and it was about the theory now that within every black hole is a universe, and that our own universe exists within a black hole.
Mm-hmm.
And it got me thinking about um, that sounds like a massive multiplayer online role play game where you've got all these different servers that you
Uh-huh.
can go to. They're all the same world, but they're just different servers with different uh, players and stuff. And I thought like that almost kind of sounds like that. And it also sounds almost like a firewall, if you will. You can't enter a black hole without getting spaghettified, right? So you can't possibly enter into it, nor can you escape it. So
Right.
it's like the ultimate way to prevent one universe from interfering with another. And then on a smaller scale, so to speak, within our own universe, the gulf of just expanse from one star system to another is so vast. It's almost like another buffer to prevent civilization from one system interfering with civilization from another. And that just I spiraled and came up with this sci-fi story I've been working on.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So it's helped me to just have everything kind of categorized, so I can then go back in and say, start read back over what I have written, and then open up Word document and go from there. It's really helped me to keep all the insanity up here straight, and has actually helped me to follow through with stories.
That's awesome. There's something I want to do. I just haven't found time to get it done yet and really learn how to fully execute on it. But what I really, and I know that it can be done, I just haven't taken the time to really get it done, is I want to have a database on my computer that an AI can access, read. It can navigate file structures and everything. Access, read. It can write on it. And obviously AI can do research, can do all kinds of stuff. And I want to be able to just have my headphones in, talk to Claude on my phone, in my headphones, and just talk about the world building and just do, all of that stuff, get ideas out, and have him pull information from the database, write new stuff in the database while I'm just driving or whatever I'm doing. I can just talk to Claude about the ideas that I'm having, ask him to do some research, who was the governor of California during the Californias, I guess it was called at the time, that I'm talking about, Roy Beckwith, and who was his successor and who came before him and all this stuff, trying to figure out, the line of the Ring of Solomon, right? Trying to figure out who it was passed to and where it was, when, and all that. And AI can really help with that kind of stuff. Now, I don't, Gen AI, I guess, is different, but like for that kind of a thing, man, that's just a massive unlock.
Right.
How could anyone be mad about you using AI in that way?
Right.
Except
absolutely.
then maybe I guess you can't hire an assistant to do it to do that. I'm not going to have an assistant anyway. I can't afford that. It's either I have Claude or I don't have an assistant.
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. I've actually got a buddy of mine who's, doing something very similar. He's writing a story. It's really turned into this universe world building that is just kind of he's kind of gone insane with it a little bit. It's getting so huge, and he uses AI for the very similar purpose of helping him world build this thing, and making sure things are accurate, even from just a geographical standpoint, and a kind of a pseudo socio-political environment that he's trying to do. So
yeah,
I mean, it's definitely a great tool for research, things like that. Absolutely. And
man.
honestly, I'll have conversations. I'll just go on there and I'll just have a conversation, and because I find it difficult to have conversations with people about when I get on these weird tangents, like with the black hole thing and stuff like that. And, I started thinking about like wormholes, because I was reading an article about, the hope to open a wormhole and stabilize it. And, and I thought if a wormhole bends space-time, because I've always heard about, you bend space-time so you can get from one point to another with essentially without moving, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you're bending space and time, can you time travel with a wormhole? And so I started, having this conversation, which then, of course, inspired me for another story I'm writing, where this crew, it's a SpaceX type organization, has they think they've stabilized a wormhole. They send a crew through there to go to the closest star, and when they go through, through the wormhole, so to speak, they haven't gone anywhere. There's Earth still, and they're like,
Mhm.
"What the hell happened?" And it turns out they've gone back in time to the Younger Dryas period, and they find this civilization that's incredibly advanced. It utilizes nature. Now they're not space hippies, they're just they've been able to tap into, and they don't have spaceships and all this, that, and the other, but they're advanced in that they utilize the natural. I go back to vibrations a lot. I don't know. Maybe I've got a vibrator fetish. I don't realize, but
Yeah.
but
I think 50% of the population has one of those.
So it turns, anyways, long story short, it turns out this civilization ends up being Atlantis, and they have to decide, like, do we save this civilization because they know what's getting ready to happen, or do we let it take its course? And and then and then at the end, when, of course, Atlantis falls into the ocean, you've got survivors washing up on different beaches. You've got this person washes up in South America who then becomes Quetzalcoatl, and the inspiration for Quetzalcoatl, and the same thing for all over the world. So,
right.
anyways, long story short, but
I
don't know how I got here, but there you go.
It's like that. So you have A and B, and you bend space-time, and you can get from one to the other, right?
Event Horizon.
Yeah, exactly. So no, that's interesting. I don't know, like, it's so tough. Like, so lately what I've been trying to do, because I want to have time to do all this stuff. I have a million things I want to make, but it seems like the hardest hurdle, I think it's two things. There are two hardest hurdles, but one is having the time to do it while working 40 hours a week to survive. And so one of my big focuses lately in the past year and a half has been, let's unlock that, right? And obviously I just love making things and I want people to experience my stories, but like, let's be real, you need money for that. So let's just unlock that. Let's get my 40 hours back, and I can now utilize that to do all of the creating that I want to do. And then the other one is, like, even if I have my 40 hours back, everything that you want to do takes way more time than, like that I want to do takes way more time than I can handle. Even if I have the rest, 50 years to do it. So then it becomes people and relationships and other people helping you do it. So these are the two big hurdles. And right now I've just kind of been focused on the first one. And then the second one, I don't know, some point I'll figure that one out. But yeah, so I don't know where that came from. I guess just having so many ideas and trying to execute all of them. But AI definitely, I think, can be a big unlock, because it is like having it, in a way. It can be, if you do it right, it can be like having a team of people helping you with stuff, because like George R.R. Martin has two people, and all they do, there's like assistants, all they do is go through all of the notes that he's written about all the crazy world building stuff that he's done, and just organize it, make sure everything's consistent and stuff. He has two people doing that. They're a couple. I think they're married. AI can do that.
Yeah.
You can have AI do that
in a blink of an eye.
Not to take their jobs, but I mean, someone said this. I can't remember who it was, but he said, I'm sure that when they invented shovels, there was a guy named Dave who now what's Dave gonna do? He won't. He was digging with his hands. So now Dave doesn't have a job?
Yep.
I guess no. It's Dave needs to get himself a shovel, or he's not going to be able to compete with the people who have shovels. It's
absolutely.
the same thing. So,
And it's It's funny you say that about the shovel because train unions, when trains started being made from diesel and electric and all this,
This guy's
um,
steamy.
it was mandatory regardless of how the train was powered. The unions mandated that train company had to employ a coal shoveler, whether it no matter how it was powered, they had to employ a coal shoveler. Unions, everybody.
Yeah, that's so stupid. I mean, I've had talks with my grandpa about this, and I think that unions have a purpose when they're first established, but they need to go away right after. If a union sticks around, its only job becomes to stick around.
Yep.
And it just ruins everything. That's
Well
my
said.
opinion on unions.
Very well
So,
said.
yeah.
Well, hey, speaking of time, we've
Mm.
been going for an hour and a half. This is officially the longest creators table I've done.
Mm.
Now, let's talk briefly. I'm sure it's Saturday night. You're Robert Downey Jr. looking guy. You've probably got Scarlett Johansson waiting for you somewhere, or a Chris Evans, whatever. I don't judge.
Yeah.
But let's talk about your campaign. Let's give some time to that. What a wonderful conversation this has been, man. Like I'm over the moon with this episode. So please let's take some time and let's talk about your book here before we wrap up. How's that?
Yeah. It has been a lot of fun. I'm not surprised I'm the longest one because I will talk and talk and talk. But into the campaign. So Roy Beckwith and the Cursed Continent issue 2 is launching September. But that doesn't mean that anyone listening should not should just wait for September, because I'm doing a thing, and I don't know how many people do this, but I realized that with a crowdfunding campaign, the early days is incredibly important. How well you do at the beginning is going to determine the trajectory of the rest of the campaign. Yeah. This is just how it is. And I know a lot of other, maybe not comics, but a lot of other crowdfunding campaigns will do reservations. So what I've tried to do is not just do reservations, like, hey, go reserve, and you pay a few dollars. Depends on what tier you're reserving. You'll go and you'll pay $1, $2, $3, which depends. And not only just do that to reserve it, like there has to be something you're reserving that you won't be able to get. So basically what I've tried to do is make it so that you're getting bonuses. So we have multiple covers. We have issue 1 had 5 covers. We had a cover from Carrie Nord, Conan, Exo Man of War.
Yep.
We had a cover from Jason Sean Alexander, who did a lot of Superman and Spawn, and Abe Sapien. So we have a cover from him, and then a cover from a guy who hasn't done any interior work, but he's a great upcoming artist. I think he's going to go somewhere soon. His name's Todd Beats. He's got a huge Instagram following, and I just love his stuff. So we have a cover from him. And you can get all of those as free bonuses for reserving the campaign, and reservations are open right now. You can go to strange-pages.com/reserve, or just strange-pages.com and then navigate to the reserve page. If you're not sure if you want in on this, I know we haven't talked too much about Roy Beckwith yet. We've talked a little bit, but it's a tale of redemption and revenge, trust, betrayal, love, loss, all of that, set in a supernatural Western setting that I call the Cursed Continent, but that's just America. Just supernatural. It's just cursed. And so you can go and read the first 15 pages for free of issue 1 digitally, I actually built my own digital comic book reader, panel to panel, that fixes all of the problems that there is on every other digital comic book reader, which is like, I know we're trying to wrap up, but you know how like
No,
if
take
there's
your
a
time. Take your time, dude.
yeah,
Seriously.
cool.
Yeah.
So you know if there's like a panel that's like the whole width of the page,
Yeah.
and then you're trying to read on your phone, and it's because it's panel to panel, it zooms in to fit. So now it's tiny and the letters are tiny, right? So you're like, huh? And then maybe even try to zoom in, but it won't let you because it's panel to panel. Some of them are like that. So it just sucks. So what I did is I actually separated the layers and did this whole thing. It was nuts. I knew no coding before I started doing this, but I figured it out. And what it does is it'll auto zoom all of the letters to be about the same size, no matter what panel you're on, no matter how small the panel was or whatever. So it'll be easy to read, trying to make it as easy as possible for people to read these first 15 pages for free. You can actually read, if you want, you can pay $1 to read the rest of issue 1 digitally. And it doesn't say it on the website, but for all those sales, I'm just going to give all of that, and hopefully we get some that's, enough to make a dent, but we were just going to give that to charity for veterans, because that's like, the story is about Roy Beckwith, who at the start is broken because he was in the cavalry in the Yavapai Wars, and did some bad stuff, saw a lot of bad stuff, and just PTSD, and he's dealing with that, trying to, one, be redeemed, but also recover and be useful in a less, it's still kind of, it's maybe not war torn, but it's still a cursed continent, but trying to kind of figure life out after that. So I thought it'd be cool to just give all of that money to a charity for veterans. It doesn't say that's what's happening on the website because I haven't done that yet, because this is a recent thing that I decided I wanted to do. But anyway, so if you want to go, I think you posted the link. You can go read the first 15 pages. If you enjoy it, or if you just want to give $1 to a veterans charity, then go ahead, pay $1. Then skip out or read the rest of the first issue, and then you can also reserve, and it's actually like, so the advice I heard was you need to make your offer so good that it kind of keeps you up at night. And so I really did just try and do that. And so by reserving, you're getting like, it's not a discount because you're just getting extra stuff, but like how much you'll end up paying on the Kickstarter for all the stuff you'd get, by reserving, it's like half the price. Like it's nuts. So go do that. Go reserve, everyone. We've already got double the reservations that I had for issue 1, which is really cool. So it just goes to show, like, you make progress and people like it, then they'll stick around for the next one. That's why we have more reservations, is because people from the first campaign decided that they wanted to come back. And so they reserved too. So yeah.
Quick question.
Joe.
Mm-hmm. Quick question. So is it possible to get a hard copy of issue 1 still, or is that something that'll be offered in a tier for the issue 2 campaign?
Yeah, so right now that's only going to be available on the next campaign.
Okay.
And I really want to get away from the crowdfunding because, one, it makes it so people have to wait however long to get in and start reading, especially if it's a hard copy, if they want a hard copy. But also, like, I want to be able to do personalized offers to people depending on, like, if they, do they have covers already? Like, have they already bought? And I want to do subscriptions, and subscriptions is incredibly hard to try to do on Kickstarter. And so like, I want to get off of that. So probably after our 5th campaign, I want to get off of that. And then just for the trade paperbacks, we'll be doing Kickstarters. But anyway, yeah, so to answer the question more succinctly, you can't get a hard copy until the campaign in September,
Sure.
which everything's printed. We have almost 1,000 copies stored of issue 1. And we'll have everything printed before we actually start the campaign for issue 2.
Wow.
So
that's huge.
Yeah, that's another piece of advice I got was there's different components to value. And one of them is a shorter time delay.
Of course.
So like Amazon, right? Incredibly valuable to be able to get something that you want the next day, right? So that's why we did it. Is we're just trying to provide them faster. So
sure.
And yeah, so you'll get it as soon as the campaign's done. We're shipping out. And I'm like, man, I can start packaging these before the end of the campaign even. Like, may as well. So but so that's like, if you want to get in on this, and you do want to get in on this,
nice.
it's gonna be an 64 issue supernatural Western epic that goes from the Old West to the French Polynesia and all over the ocean and Cocos Island and down into Peru and some crazy stuff and talismans like the Ring of Solomon, and all of this is going to be some wild stuff. You'll want in from the beginning, trust me. So go reserve.
I will say you've definitely piqued my interest, for sure. So I'm definitely interested in it. And one thing I'd like to do, if you're up for it, we can talk about this, later through DMs or whatever. But I'd like to talk about your strategies with crowdfunding, and get kind of more in depth with that, because I'm learning. The Nostradamus Effect was my first attempt at crowdfunding. I launched initially on Kickstarter and did not reach our funding goal, and then relaunched on Fund My Comic. And I decided to have the campaign go longer. We did 2 months instead of just the 1, and we had got more backers, and but still fell way short of our funding goal. Now for me, and the situation I'm in is I just simply can't afford to fund the book all on my own. So that's why, I'm doing the crowdfunding thing. I am very transparent about, because my funding goal was like $8,300. And, I had like a pie chart that showed exactly what, percentage of the funding is going for what.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because the reality is with crowdfunding is so many people have been burned by, campaigns that, did reach their goal, and then nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
I've been burned on that. And I'm still pissed off about it. It's been like 5 years since it happened, and I'm still not happy about it. But so it was very important for me to be very, very, very transparent about everything. I have nothing to hide. My goal with Bootlegger Comics is actually it's Bootlegger Entertainment. Bootlegger Comics is just part of Bootlegger Entertainment. My grand vision is we start with comics, then if that succeeds, then we go into animation, merchandising, and that succeeds, then eventually film and television. But the comics are always the heart of everything. We don't just stop. Oh, we reached our goal here. We can now start doing animation, cut the comics. We're now focusing on that. And it's always the printed page always comes first. So
yeah. No, that's you brought up a couple things that I'd love to touch on really fast. So I had a backer. His name's Justin Knight. He has a podcast. He brought me on afterward. He wasn't going to back my book because he's been burned so many times.
Oh, wow.
And I can't remember why he ended up doing it. Maybe he saw, he told me why, but I feel like maybe he saw me in a podcast or something. And he thought, you know what, I want to give this guy a chance. And so he backed my book and he liked it. He got it on time early and liked it enough. He wanted to bring me onto his podcast. And we've just talked about that a lot. And he's sent me campaigns. Like, look at this campaign and how late they are and how much money they funded for. And then there's guys who are delivering on time, good product, and they're getting less than a tenth of what those guys are getting.
Right.
And it's just wild. And I think part of that is because the trust has been deteriorated. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Crowdfunding comics, indie comics is a brand. And what's hard about that is everyone who claims to be indie comics, and you could say this about Comicsgate as well, that's kind of its own separate brand. Anyone who claims to be Comicsgate, anyone who claims to be indie comics, and then gives a bad impression, that's hurting the brand for everyone else who claims indie comics. And that just sucks. That sucks a lot. And it's not just me. It's a lot of people have and I haven't been burned a lot because I didn't do a lot of I didn't fund a lot of campaigns. I did a few. They took forever and they eventually fulfilled the comic book and I got my books.
Right.
But I haven't just not gotten it. And I know a lot of people are dealing with that. And a lot of people are dealing with the ramifications of these, quote, bigger creators not fulfilling. And I don't know how to solve that, but I don't know, maybe people who are actually delivering could get together and make their own brand. Iron Age, that's another one that people are doing. I don't know exactly what that's about, but that's another kind of brand people are using. And maybe that one will develop a better reputation. But yeah, so that's just really interesting that you brought that up about the people not delivering. And then there's another thing I wanted to touch on, but I went on such a diatribe I forgot about what it was. So yeah, but there you go. So that's my thoughts on that. As far as trying to get a successful campaign, it's all about the pre-launch. So it's just like any war is won and lost. I can't remember who said this, Ernest Hemingway or someone. A war is won or lost in the planning, right?
Sure.
Before the war. That same thing happens for a Kickstarter campaign. Your pre-launch is everything. And which is why I'm doing reservations. So these people, and look, like, guys, maybe I'm being a little tricky or whatever, but trust me, you're really getting a good discount in exchange for me being a little tricky. When someone puts money down, even if it's $1, $2, $3 to reserve, they're 30 times more likely to get the campaign when it launches. Yeah. And that's like committed. Yeah, exactly. And that's a legit statistic. It's like 30 times. So rather than just, hey, get on my email list, right? So if someone reserves, they're 30 times more likely to actually back on day one. And actually all the bonuses, by the way, guys, it says it on the website. But if there's so there's no confusion, the bonus stuff that you're getting, all of the covers from issue 1, all of that stuff, those bonuses are contingent on you backing in the first 48 hours. So again, I'm being a little tricky, but hopefully I'm giving you guys enough value in exchange for me being tricky. And hopefully I am. So as far as that's like and we can talk more if you'd like in DMs or we can chat, but that's like the easiest piece of advice. Not that I've had an incredibly successful campaign, but if I hadn't had any reservations when I launched my first campaign, I may not have even hit my goal. And my goal did not by any means like pay for all of the stuff that I've paid for it.
Sure.
Which I'm happy to pay for. But at a certain point, if I want to be going as fast as I want to be going, they have to at least be paying for themselves. But I'm willing to pay for it until that happens. But I wouldn't have hit my goal, and then I would have had a failed campaign. And it was the reservations, even though I had less than 10. Even without even those 10, it probably would have just flopped, and I wouldn't have hit my goal at all. So yeah, pre-campaign, I don't know if reservations is 100% always the way to go. I think it did help me, but the pre-launch is the biggest thing. Get as many people following the campaign as you can. I try to focus on reservations rather than that. But do both, so, and also like, don't forget this, you can contact those backers that backed you, even though it didn't fund, you can still post an update and be like, hey guys, we're going again. Yeah. You could even like contact them and be like, hey guys, we're going again in a month or two, but I'm doing reservations and you'll get this bonus that no one else will get, this discount no one else will get, whatever, make up whatever you want for that piece. But so we could talk a lot if you want. I really like that stuff because it's what I've been focused on for a year and a half, is like marketing. I've been reading all kinds of books and marketing, business, money models, like all kinds of stuff. So
honestly, this is the first time I've heard of reservations. All I've really known about is, you go to the like the Kickstarter before it's launched and you sign up, give your email address to get the update on when it's launched and all that. This is the first time I've hearing about reservations, and it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So you've launched just on Kickstarter, yeah?
Yeah, just one. I just found it like I didn't like seeing people go, hey man, we're almost done. This is your last chance to back our Kickstarter. And then like a week later, they're like, hey guys, come back our Indiegogo now. I'm like, so that was fake urgency that you just tried to use on me. And then after the Indiegogo, now they're on Fund My Comic and whatever. And those guys can do whatever they want, but I didn't like that. So I decided I'm just going to do one platform. Yeah. I know I'm probably shrinking my audience size by doing that, but it's just like a feeling and a principle. Well, I mean, it's like, so that's a good question. So Kickstarter on average gives you 30 to 50% of your total backer count through their algorithm. I don't know what Indiegogo is, but I assume it's probably similar, right? So if that's, actually, you know what? That's a really interesting thing that you bring up there. If I send them 50 people, they'll give me, just make it easy math, they'll give me 50 people, right? Mm-hmm. But if I send 25 people to Kickstarter, they'll give me 25. And then if I send 25 to Indiegogo, then they'll give me 25. So I guess my audience size is about the same. So it's just spread out over different campaigns, different platforms. So,
and that's exactly what I found with Kickstarter is over half my backers that I got on that initial launch on Kickstarter were through the algorithm there. On Kickstarter. And I'll say one thing I really enjoyed with Kickstarter and was invaluable to me as a first time, crowdfunder creator was all the metrics that they provide to you on, where, backers are coming from, what link, took them there. And like all that stuff was just so valuable on how to, I could steer people to my campaign. Like I had initially, went heavy on Instagram, and I was boosting posts, and I was getting all these views and likes, and like in the thousands, which is, that's a lot for me. And but it didn't generate into squat. Like I literally got just one backer from all this Instagram stuff. And that's when I started learning about behavior on different social media platforms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I think Instagram, a lot of those people are kind of just passively like wanting to look at some art that looks cool. Yeah, low intention. And I don't know this for a fact, but the two that I think would be the highest intention is X and YouTube. And the reason I say that is, people on YouTube are watching long form content a lot more often. And so they'll actually like get in and they'll get invested in a thing.
Yes.
But then, Instagram is just reels. It's like, let me
doom scrolling.
Yeah, doom scroll. And I'll just, that looks good. Double tap. Next one. Just like it really fast and move on. Yeah. X people seem to be more like, because it is more interactive. And so then people get more invested because they'll, oh man, that looks cool. And then you get to reply and be like, thanks, man. That's less on Instagram, less on YouTube, less on TikTok. That kind of a thing is less so. I think that X favors that a lot more. Yeah. So I've been, and as far as that goes, the advice I've heard is go all in on one platform and grow that audience, and don't distract yourself with all the other platforms. That's that's the advice I've heard. And depending on your niche, and I don't mean like genre niche, I just mean like, since we're indie comics, like that's the niche. There's different platforms are going to be better or worse. For issue 1, I did a bunch of covers, right? And those people all have huge Instagram accounts, and I got one backer from all of them, and they have 100,000 followers each on Instagram. Yep. I got one backer from them. And I obviously spent way more than that backer gave back on those covers themselves, but it's also cool to have those covers, and I admire those guys. So, you try stuff, you learn. You talk about a fear of failure. It's like, really, failing is just giving up before you win. Like, that's what failing is. Yeah. So you just learn lessons and, maybe do some more reading. I've been doing a lot of reading and research and trying to make it work. But, I don't know. I could talk about this forever because no one ever wants to talk about it with me. So,
well, I tell you what, what I did like about Instagram is where I found the bulk of the artists that I ended up working with. Mm-hmm. And so that was fantastic. And very much like you, I had artists who had 100,000 followers, 50,000 followers, and they're promoting the book. They're posting about it, posting about the project, posting about future projects with Bootlegger. And I mean, literally that same thing. I got one backer on it, and it's not anybody's fault. I'm not faulting the artists. I'm not faulting any of that. It's just, a real eye-opening reality. Yeah. And same thing with covers. I hired a guy named Neil McGregor. He's a Scottish artist, and I found him.
Sounds like it.
I found him on on Instagram. He's does like photo real type art, which I've always been fascinated with. Like, to see a picture that literally looks like a photograph, but it's hand drawn, just blows my mind. But I found him. He's got like 50-something thousand followers. He did a cover for Sangre de Cristo, which is just freaking incredible. I don't know.
That's really cool. I have a question for you. Have you noticed this? So this makes it so the metrics are just completely useless. When I go to back someone's campaign and I click on their link on X, it takes me somewhere and then it says, oh, you want to open this in the app? And then it doesn't fucking work. And I can't. So then I just go, okay, what's this called? All right. And then I go to the app and I search it. So now you have no idea. They would have no idea through tracking and analytics whether I came from X or not. And so same with me, right? So it's like maybe I did get more people off Instagram. Who knows? Maybe I got more people off X. Probably I did, but I have no idea because it won't actually open the app. And then so then it's called a cookie. So the cookie's gone.
Right.
Or a token. It's gone now. So you have no idea where they came
There's
from.
no connecting it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that I had that. I know one thing I had on Fund My Comic that I had issues with. I had a myriad of issues with Fund My Comic.
Yeah,
Frankly,
they're smaller, they don't.
I was not a fan of my experience on Fund My Comic, but
really?
I had backers who were charged twice.
Oh,
there was some kind of glitch when they were going through the whole thing, and it was like 3 or 4 of them that got double charged. And so they emailed me, let me know, and as soon as they emailed me, I went into Stripe and immediately refunded that extra fee. But like I didn't have that problem on Kickstarter, and I think Kickstarter uses Stripe as well. So
yeah,
I don't know. I brought it to their attention and said, hey, this has happened now to a few backers. And
yeah, it's definitely not Stripe. That's not to get into like coding and technical stuff, but that's probably on Fund My Comics end for sure. Yeah, because my website uses Stripe too, and I've never had that problem. So
no metrics either, no metrics whatsoever through Fund My Comic. So
I bet my website has more metrics than Fund My Comic.
Probably.
I know where they came from. I know what books they already have bought. I know all kinds of stuff. Like my metrics are wild.
And then I tried a promo with an LCS. So I had this thought where I would print a flyer to have at a local comic shop. And I went through with this. I did this. I printed it. It looked nice. It was on nice glossy paper. It was the cover for the issue. I had, I love having yellow. Yellow is one of the most, if not the most eye-catching color of the human eye. Had yellow on it in letters and stuff. So it was a nice contrast with the black. And I had this promo where it was like, okay, if you use this, I had the Fund My Comic create a coupon code, which was the name of the comic shop. And if you use this coupon code, you will get a free print. And it's a print of the cover on 120 pound cardstock, really nice. Didn't cheap it out, didn't put it on like magazine paper, like some prints out. Like I got a print from one guy who's a big name guy, and I love his artwork. I got the print, and it is just like paper. Like I'm like, what in the hell is this? So anyway, so I thought, maybe let's try that, see what happens. Not one person ended up using, and it was right there by the cash register and everything, and it just didn't go anywhere.
That's interesting. I think, I love this kind of stuff. I think you made it too hard. QR codes.
I used the QR code.
Oh, it was a QR code?
There was a QR code. I had a QR code made. I put it on the flyer. So all you had to do was scan the QR code.
But then did they have to put the coupon code in too?
Yeah, they'd have to enter the code boom.
Yeah, and, so like that's getting into some like technical stuff, but like you could have, because it's not to say that what you were trying couldn't work. It's just maybe like there needs to be a couple tweaks. But so what you could do is make it so the QR code takes them to a certain thing where they don't need to put in a coupon code, right? So then it's just easy for them. They just QR code, get my free print, right? Instead of now I have to put in the coupon code and yada yada. You know what I mean? So yeah, just food for thought. But so like just little things like that. That's why I've been trying to focus on really hard lately, is like just make it as easy as possible for the customer. And like I built my website. It took me like 3 months. and it was just like hard going in, just trying to make it as easy as possible for them, because it's called friction. So it's like anytime there's a friction point, and so having to enter a coupon code, that's friction.
Yeah.
And I actually had that initially, and then I was like, why am I doing that? I could just give them a special link that then my website knows, oh, if they come through this link, then they already get this thing or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Instead. So little things like that, making it easier for the customer. I think.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. We've gone way longer than you've ever gone, so because 30 minutes ago was a record. I'm not trying to double the record. I don't want to embarrass anyone.
Hey, I'm loving this. I'm loving this conversation. If you are, that's even better. I just, like I said, I wrestled with this Jeep all day. So, but I'm all about this stuff, man. So,
yeah, I mean, it sucks because like I was just doing creative stuff for 10 years, and then nothing like that I really wanted to have happen came from it. And then that just made me realize, like, it doesn't matter. So initially what it was is after I did that one feature film that we stopped doing and I rewrote it, and my dogs are barking. After that, like, and then like my short films weren't as successful as I wanted, I just went all in on just trying to make the product better, like for 10 years straight. And then it got to a point where I'm like, this is really good. Why isn't it working the way I want it to work? And then it's like, well, because if no one knows about your product, and it sucks to call my, creative works a product, but that's ultimately what it is. If no one knows about it, no one's going to buy it. No one's going to experience it. You can't change anyone's life or give them a meaningful experience, or what, everything that we're trying to do as creatives. Make people think or ask questions or whatever it is that we're doing. So people got to know, which means you have to either know about marketing or find someone who knows about marketing and is willing to work on getting your stuff out. But the problem is like someone who is really good at marketing, they're not going to do this. They're going to go sell something else because it's way easier. Yeah. You know what I mean? And way more profitable. So if they're really good at marketing, they're not going to be trying to sell your comic book for you on Kickstarter. They just won't. So I just had to take it upon myself to learn about marketing myself. That's what I've been doing for like a year and a half now.
The thing that got me excited about crowdfunding is when I very first started hearing about it, I want to say it was around 2018. I had stumbled onto Ethan Van Sciver's channel, Comic Artist Pro Secrets, and it was mainly for the Star Wars content. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And then he started talking about Indiegogo and crowdfunding, and I thought, well, wow, to the thing that immediately I thought of was like, it sounds like an online comic book convention. And your booth is your campaign, right?
Yeah.
And I thought like, wow, because when I was doing my original book back in, like I said, 2003, 2004, we killed at conventions, man. I mean, conventions were they were our bread and butter because we're selling directly to the consumer rather than having to sell it 50 to 60% off to the LCS, et cetera. So we did as many shows as we could, and we just killed. Anytime anybody stepped in front of our table, our booth, boom, we were engaging with that person. Hey, have you heard of Half-Ass Publishing? We knew they never have. Hey, have you heard of Some Big Lumberjack? We knew they never have. Then it would we had this whole spiel. Oh, he's got the proportionate strength of a lumberjack his size. His sidekick is a beaver named Gnaw that he rides into the battle. We ride beavers in Half-Ass. We just had a whole thing, and it was fun. It was funny. We had people laughing. I remember I want to say the second issue we came out with, like I said, we all grew up in Maryland, and we were living in Texas. So the second issue we did, we flew back home, and we did the Baltimore Comic Con. And of course, we're nobodies. We're doing this little indie book based in Dallas, Texas. We go there and the whole same thing. As soon as somebody passed that little seam, from one table over into our table, we engaged with everybody. We actually had a line of people waiting to come to our table and talk to us because it's just because we were talking to people. We saw so many other artists and indie creators there who are sitting at their table. They've got a nice looking little setup. They've got their little sketch pad and they're doodling, as people walk by, and they look up, oh, hello. And, any questions? Oh, yeah. And they go back to drawing. They don't engage any of these people at all. And I'm like, what the hell? And I mean, we killed at that show and each show after that, simply because we engaged. So when I heard of crowdfunding, I got so excited because I'm like, oh, this is like an online comic book convention. This is great. And
how do you engage?
It is not at all.
Yeah. There's not much engaging with anyone.
None. This, right? It's YouTube, right? YouTube is the engaging. X is the engaging. But if you're just sitting here saying like, hey, I got this book coming out and it's super cool and you're going to like it, like, it's a whole other strategy than dealing with. And I don't even know what a comic book convention's like now. I mean, that might not even work at cons.
It's mad. I haven't been to one in a while. So I'm out in Utah. I went to our very first Comic-Con when I was in high school, and it was jam packed. It's like the second or third biggest Comic-Con still.
Oh, wow.
It's huge because our nerds have been starving out here, starving for so long, that's probably why our hockey team is so popular too, is because we never had a hockey team and now we got one. And we don't have a football team or a baseball team. So, our sports fans are just starving. So, but yeah, I think that it'd be about the same. Like, I think that that's exactly what it still is today. And I have this feeling that, and Gary V, if you've heard of him, he's like this business guy. He's all about social media. But even he's starting to say, man, like, live events are coming back.
Really?
People are choosing to do live events instead of, be on their phones and watch a podcast on Friday night by themselves for 3 hours. Which is what I used to do. But people are starting to choose physical events in-person events. And I think that that's something with, like, you've seen a big influx recently of younger comic book readers. And I don't know what happened, but it's happened. And I think a lot of those people are going to be going to Comic-Cons.
Really?
And so that's like, I'm starting to want to do it, but I want to have more product to sell because it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort, and your booth costs, and if you're going to have a better booth in a better position, it costs even more. And so I just want to have more product so that I can, instead of, hey, buy my one book and the 4 variant covers. 3, because one of them was a Kickstarter exclusive, so you can't get that one anymore. Sorry, everyone. But so I want to have more product to sell so that it's like, hey, we have 3 or 4 issues. They're gonna have to buy all of those issues to get caught up on the story, and then those people, if they read it, which by God, they better. Like, that's a hard thing too. I just did a post today. Am I the only one who buys more comic books than I have time to read? And everyone's like, yeah. And that post is blown up now. It's got 300 likes on it. So like people are doing that. And then it's like, well, if I sell them 5 books and then they never read them, then that's not a real customer. That's just some money I made right then. You know what I mean? So I don't know how. You really got to get people reading whatever it is you sold them. And I don't know exactly how to do it, but you got to really get them to read it. Otherwise, what was the point of selling it except to get a little bit of cash up front or whatever. But so yeah, as far as cons, I want to do that. I just want to have a little bit more to be able to sell to make it worth it for me. Because if I go, I don't know how much booth rental is, but say it's $1,000. I'm not sure. Say I spend $1,000 and then I make 1,000 in revenue, but it costs me $2 to print each book, or it costs me more because I'm printing digital because I've had bad experiences with offset. But anyways, that's a different thing. So, then, well, I lost money then. If I had $1,000 of revenue and paid 1,000 for the booth, and each comic book I sold cost money for me to make, then I just lost money. So I want to have more product to sell to each customer before I do that.
Sure.
But a lot of people are saying, just do it. But those are my family members who aren't really nerds, but they're just telling me I should do it, which maybe I should, but I'm kind of waiting till I have more product.
Well, of course, again, this was 20 plus years ago when I was doing it. We started just with issue 1. We did our first con. Now, of course, being that it was 2003, a booth was like $50-$70. I mean, it was nothing,
man. And it depends on the con too. Salt Lake, which is the con I have the easiest access to, like I said, it's the 3rd biggest con. So like the booths are, on the higher end of expense. But yeah. Anyway, sorry to interrupt there.
Yeah. So it's we, again, like that was our bread and butter. So we hit the cons hard from issue 1. I remember the first con we did, it was a local one, and there was a guy across from us who he was a Halloween Man was his book. I think he's still doing it. Mm-hmm. But he was so annoyed with us by the end of the day. He was like, all I've heard all day is he's got the proportional strength of a lumberjack his size. Blah, 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 blah. He's like, God dang it. Mix it up. Why don't you? And I was like, we had blasted through like most of what we had. And I'm like, I ain't going to change it if it's working, pal.
Yeah. Don't fix it if it ain't broke.
And then the funny thing is we saw this interview with him a few years later where he's talking about his character, and he's like, he's a bull, he's got the proportionate strength of a bull his size, and blah blah blah. Just like, hey, you're
stealing our thing.
Oh man, but again, man, that was a whole different, it was a different economy. I mean, me and three buddies, we pooled our money together and we just printed the first issue. We paid to print the first issue ourselves. We went through Brenner printing. Your options were way less than what they are now. And we did something like 2,000 copies we printed of the first issue.
Yeah, and that's what I did. It was with Roy Beckwith as well.
It was like some of the greatest times of my life was doing that. And each issue paid for the next one. And, not only paid for
that's all I'm trying to get to, bro. Teach me.
We got enough money made where we could put it into our presentation. So with each issue, our booth got fancier, right? And I remember the last con we did, I had worked at Lowe's at the time, and we sold wallpaper, and it was a wallpaper that looked like a log cabin. So I bought a 4 by 8 foot piece of masonite, cut it lengthwise, put a big piano hinge on it, and put it as and I put this wallpaper on it, and it was like a skin of sorts to go on the table, and it made our table look like a log, like it was built out of logs,
lumberjack.
And then I built these big pillars that had the wallpaper on it, and we had a banner made from like a sign company with real heavy vinyl, and it had covers on it.
Yeah.
And it was yellow, of course, because I was always very adamant about there has to be yellow. And we put it on the top between these two pillars, and you could see our table from like halfway across the con. We were doing wizard shows, and that's actually where I first met Ethan Van Sciver. Was doing a wizard show, and actually hung out with him afterwards, and did karaoke and boozed it up and had a good time. But I'm sure he has no recollection of some no-name dude, in Dallas when he's
done lots of cons
at the height of his, right. Yeah. JG Jones. Are you familiar with JG Jones? He's
No.
an artist. He did a lot for DC. Wanted. That was kind of his big book at
Okay.
the time. They made it into a movie. He's a phenomenal artist, I think, and he's actually been a friend during all this stuff. But now I'm just name dropping like a douche. So
No, you're good.
I did a St. We drove up to St. Louis from Dallas. We did a con up there with Billy Tucci was there. That's how I met him, and it just oh god, it was just the greatest times, man. And
You're making me want to do cons. So,
dude, but again, like I don't know what it's like now. I haven't been to a con in probably. I think the last one I did was in Irving, Texas. I took my kid. He was probably about 6 or 7.
yeah.
I got no idea what it's like, and it was
I'll tell you, dude, every time that I see someone posting about being at a con, creators, it's always like, dude, we're killing it. I can't believe it. Like,
wow, awesome.
Dude, we sold so many people coming up to our booth. We're selling so many people on stuff. It's like that. I can't believe it. I made more money at this con than I did on my Kickstarter. It's like, holy shit, man. Man, like maybe I need to get in on that. So I think that things happen in waves, and I think that a lot of like COVID ruined people, and they want to get out more now. And I think that's going to be part of it. Is cons are going to be bigger, live events, concerts are going to be bigger, and like we've seen that too. You know what I mean? Live sporting events are going to be bigger, and that's been true with the UFC and with the NBA. And it's just going to get bigger and bigger. And I think that the more that social media gets saturated with people just trying to sell stuff, it's just saturated with ads, people are going to want real stuff more and more. And then as it gets more AI, and people are going to want things that are verifiably real. And that's a live performance, right? At least for now, you know, at least for now, you can know that that's real. but yeah, so I think it's going that way. You're making me want to do cons. So where are you
all
at?
I can tell you is
Texas?
the time I did it, it was,
I just was at. You're in Texas?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in the Dallas Fort Worth area.
All right, we'll split a booth.
I would so be down for that, dude. I mean it. And the other thing we did is whoever was next to us, we'd start talking to them about, well, hey, what's your book? Tell me about your book. Mm-hmm. And we connected with so many artists that way, and we would do cross promotions. That was another thing we were big at. Dallas, at the time, again, it may be still the case, I don't know, but at the time, Dallas had a massive indie culture down here. I mean, just the indies were everywhere. They were hot, and people were getting picked up by mainstream books. Scott Kurtz was a big name at the time. He had a hot book out through Image Comics. I mean, I was shocked at how big the indie community was down here. So naturally, our thought was like, hey, why don't you do a cover for us, or why don't you do some sketches, a sketch of our character,
and we'll
put it in our book
or whatever. Yeah.
We'll put it in our book. We'll mention you in your book. If you have a website, we'll put it in there. We were all about trying to cross promote, and it worked great. We'd have some of these guys like, hey, come sit at our table for a bit. You can sign this issue. Mm-hmm. And they'd be like, sign the issue? What are you talking about? Like, yeah, don't you remember you did this sketch for us like 6 months ago, and or we'd have, some of the guys did covers for us. We'd be like, hey, Khalid Robertson's over at the table over there doing his own book. Why don't you take this over there, have him sign it? Oh man, that's awesome. And it was
that becomes cool for the customer then too.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the other person's like, oh, holy crap, look at this. I totally forgot I did this.
And yeah, then the customer's like, oh, and so what is your book that you're doing? Oh, exactly. Yeah, let me check that out. Yeah.
Exactly.
No,
exactly.
That's really cool. That's one of the reasons I love that, is because a lot of people have a competition mindset, and I think that's just kind of like, I think it's wrong. So I think if you have a competition mindset, you're going to lose. So all the time, you need to have a creation mindset. So it's like this principle of, there's only so much gold. right? It's like money, whatever, gold that was the
Sure.
currency. There's only so much gold. So I'm competing for people with it. But it's like there's so much gold still in the ground. Like, like you don't have to compete with anyone. You can find more, make more. You know what I mean? Or like with comics, right? It's like, oh man, there's only so many customers to sell my comic book to, and all these other people are trying to sell them. I'm competing with these people. I have to sell my stuff to those people before they get to them. You know,
Yeah.
but I think that's wrong. I think that it's you need a creation mindset, and if you, it's just like with everyone's been giving props to Absolute Batman for having brought in so many new comic book readers, and Image is selling way more now after the sales of Absolute Batman brought in more people, younger readers a lot of the time. So it's like, no, don't compete for customers, create customers, right? And then other people that then they'll go check out other people's stuff, right? And if you lift, and I wouldn't lift anyone up who I think has a poor product, but lift other people up in the right way and create instead of compete. And that's what I like about you doing that, cross promoting and sending people over to there. And yeah, I'd even go far as to say, I bet you sometimes were like, oh yeah, this book isn't your thing, you might check out them. Like I could
Oh
see
yeah,
that happening as
absolutely.
well. Yeah.
I've
That's why
always
you were
been,
winning so well, man, because you had the creation mindset. That's why you were winning.
well, I've always had the mindset of, I've always had the thought of like, we're all doing the same thing, indie comics, right? Um, we're limited with resources. Why are we not helping each other out?
Mm-hmm.
Let's help each other out. And it doesn't necessarily mean like, do that, rub, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Yeah, not that, but why aren't we promoting each other? Why aren't we helping each other? Like a rising tide lifts all ships, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we would do things like there was a wizard show. I think it was the first or second wizard show we did. There was a local retailer who had his own booth, and he invited indie creators from the area to come sit at his table, his
Oh, that's
booth
cool.
for, and so he took names of who was interested, and everybody had a time slot, that they were allotted to. It was like a 2 hour time slot.
Yeah.
You were allowed to come and sell your book at his table. Very cool, very great guy. He had a great shop, and so what we did is we were always big about flyers. We would have these gals that were friend of my buddies who were very attractive ladies. We had them dress in Daisy Dukes with a flannel shirt tied off at the belly. We called them our lumberjills, right?
Okay.
And yeah, so they would go around to these conventions and they would just pass these flyers out. And it was just, we'd cut a piece of paper in half. Whatever, we'd have two printed on one piece of paper. I'd cut it in half, and there's two flyers. And it would be a picture of us, kind of saying what was going on, where we were going to be. Then it would be like also appearing, boom, 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 boom. We had the list of everybody who was going to be there at that guy's table,
Right.
all day, not just us, all the other creators. That's always been me.
That's cool.
That's always been how I roll. Now, there's people who resented that. We had people resent us for whatever reason. There were times where I wasn't exactly very tactful because I was so excited. I had gone up to a creator at the Baltimore show, and I was like, holy fuck, we just made $3,000. And it was a Saturday. It was a one day selling a $3 book. And I'm like, Jesus
That's
Christ, this is
books.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit balls. Because my buddy Tom, who did the book with me, he was like the mastermind of the deal. He was all about the bundle deal, So he would get the bundles going. But I just went up to this guy, and I'm just happy to be there,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, holy fuck balls, man. I'll go, dude. And I tell him, I'm like, you've been doing this way longer than we have. You got to be doing crazy. And he's like, I haven't even made my plane ticket cost yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, and right when he said, I was like, oh, fuck.
And you feel bad. Yeah.
And I felt bad, but I also
realized I didn't
like,
say fudge.
I was like, really like, oh man, like That was a
Yeah.
mistake for me to say that. But I was just so excited. I wasn't like trying to rub anything in his face or
Yeah.
make him feel. But I had no clue that we would do so well.
Yeah. You can't be responsible for other people's feelings. And I don't know how he reacted, but like the correct reaction is, dude, that's great for you. I'm not doing great. Do you have any tips for me before my next con? What's working for you? So if he resented you for it, and maybe that's just a vibe you got, maybe he didn't actually resent you. Who knows? He did. Yeah. So it's like, if he resented you for that, then that's not your fault. And instead of resenting you, so this is the whole thing, right? It's like, if you see someone doing better than you, then you should probably try and find the lesson from them doing so well, instead of being envious that they're doing so well. And this is another thing about that's one of the demons, right? That's Leviathan, is envy, right? He makes people envious, and that creates all kinds of societal problems at scale. But so instead of being envious, you say, well, what is he doing? I'm not. And if he can't do that, then that's on him. It's not on you. You were excited, you know what I mean? And you had every right to be. That's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But I just, I knew like I had just done the wrong thing there.
You still feel bad. Yeah. I don't know that you did though. And you could say you did and you could believe you did, but I don't think you did the wrong thing, because what you really did is you actually gave him an opportunity to do better but you say, dude, we did so great. That's an opportunity that you just inadvertently created for him to get advice on how to do better.
Yeah.
Right. And he didn't want the opportunity. Like, that's just the way I see things, I guess,
Interesting story about that guy. So I mentioned the Wizard Show and how we had time slots, at this guy's booth. He was the slot before us, and he stalled. He wouldn't. It was our turn, and he was like, "Hey, I'm finishing up here." So we're like, "Okay, no problem, no worries." We backed up. We went and meandered around for a few minutes. Came back. It was like 10 minutes into our time, and he's still like, "Nah, just hold off." I'm still. And then he just like blew up at us, and he goes, "Oh, don't worry, you'll make your money." And he's like, "Do you even put anybody else on these flyers?" And I was like, "Did you read it?" Like,
you're on the flyer.
You're right there, bro.
Yeah.
You're right. And there's Richard, and there's this guy, and it's like, I was like, I'm an emotional guy, and like I was just kind of like, wow, what happened? Like,
yeah, I think that's you taking responsibility for someone else's shitty feelings, and I don't think that you should, especially to this day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was on him, not on you. 100%. That's on him, man. That's on him, because like you actually did give him an opportunity to figure out how to do better, and instead he said, probably to himself in his head, I'm better than that guy. Why am I not getting better results? And then was just angry about it. You know what I mean? And that's such a silly mindset to have. It's like, and I won't lie, I've had that mindset before. Like, but you have to, you can't have that mindset.
I absolutely have. I've struggled with it, with this failed. As embarrassed as I am to say this, I've struggled with it with these two failed campaigns, and I've seen people with, what I see as, not as good as what I was doing, and I'm just like, what? And they like, their stuff's taken off and, all this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, what the fiddlesticks?
Yeah.
And I feel that way, and then I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I try to shake my head out. I try to be as self-aware as possible. It's always not. I fail a lot of times, but ultimately, I know it's like, well, it's not his fault that my campaign failed.
Yeah, and like, here's the thing: your product might be better. He just might know how to market better. And so then you got to say, so what is the stuff? And you could go do research, man. Like poach his technique in marketing. Go figure out what he did. Check out his X. Check out what his campaign looks like. You know, like if you see someone who did 40K on a campaign, there's a reason. Go figure out what those reasons are. You know what I mean? And take that as an opportunity to learn and do better, because like seriously, like there's so many examples of people who flopped and then just skyrocketed on the next try. And it's because they said, I'm going to learn from all of this, and I'm going to learn from other people's success, learn from my failures, learn from the success of other people. And like, I'm going to buckle down and get her done. Like, you know what I mean? So
Right on.
that's whenever someone makes you feel like that, like you made that guy feel, that's an opportunity. Take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I often struggle with it too, where I'll be like, man, that guy's just it's just boobs. That's all he's selling. Like, like all these Kickstarter campaigns that are just, and I still feel that way. And it's like, maybe he just knows something about marketing that I don't. Maybe it is that he's doing something that I morally don't want to do. And then I just have to accept, well, then that's a practical disadvantage I'm taking in order to uphold my moral standards, and that's okay. But then if they are just doing something that I could have done but didn't do, that's a lesson that I can take and apply next time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I ramble, my bad.
Huh?
I just ramble a lot.
No, dude, you're a great conversationalist, man. This is I'm having a blast. I was actually gonna say we're at the 2 hour and 37-minute mark.
Yeah.
So I am gonna have to wrap it up here. But Nick, man, I have had an absolute blast talking with you. Like I said, I feel like this has really been about what my idea for the creators table has really been. So thanks for coming on. I really hope we can connect again and do another show and talk about all of this kind of stuff all over again. Everybody check out Roy Beckwith and the Cursed Continent, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And, go to his website. I will add a link to the website in the description. And man, Nick, thank you so much for coming on. This was just so much fun, man.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for having me, Chris. I didn't expect to have this much fun, honestly, but I had a lot of fun. This was great. I could keep going for 3 hours, but I probably should stop. It is getting late. Go follow me on X at Strange Pages. You'll see some weird takes about comics, some preview art and everything. And obviously I think everyone should already be following you, so I won't plug you, but yeah, it's been great. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Have a great rest of your weekend.
You too. Bye, everybody.